My name is Ashley Luckett. Today we're going to discuss culturally sensitive care of Jewish patients. Many cultural groups are easily recognized by sight because they are based on skin color or other religious symbols that are worn outwardly. Jewish patients, however, vary widely in country of origin and ethnicity, since the religion accepts anyone not born into the religion via conversion, with a statement of faith and a confirmation of sorts. Most people who follow Judaism live by a set of canons that compel their daily life, including dietary choices and a code of personal conduct, which can differ during holidays. An awareness of daily as well as holiday practices is the best way to provide culturally sensitive care to patients in this cultural group. Throughout the presentation, we're going to discuss cultural attributes, culturally important holidays, and nursing care across the lifespan, including childbearing women and their families, children ages 0 to 17, adults ages 18 to 64, older adults ages 65 and up, communities, and death and dying. Judaism impacts all portions of the believer's life, including where they live, what and where they eat, how they socialize, and how they conduct relationships with relatives. People practicing this religion, called Jews, follow the teachings of the Tanakh, which includes the Torah, and the Talmud. They follow kosher law regarding food preparation and consumption as well. One of the important things for us to know about kosher law is that it not only dictates what is eaten, but how that food is prepared. And most of our facilities do not have the ability to prepare food in a kosher manner. One of the caveats of kosher law requires that meat and cheese never be combined, and their preparation is completely separated. However, so a true kosher kitchen will have a set of knives and cutting boards, etc., that are devoted to meat, and another set that are completely devoted to cheese and dairy products. Being that we cannot always accommodate that, our patients need to be aware of that. Judaism was founded in 7th century BCE in ancient Palestine, and this religion denies the divinity of Jesus and generally emphasizes no afterlife, permitting a here and now existence that emphasizes good behavior for the sake of your fellow man. Under the guidance of their religious leaders or rabbis, they follow rituals and traditions that worship one God called Yahweh. Culturally important holidays. These are listed in chronological order according to our calendar, just bearing in mind that the Jewish calendar is a little bit different, which we'll discuss in the first one, the fast of Tevet 10. Tevet is one of the months in the Jewish calendar, so the fast of Tevet 10 is a single day where you fast from sunrise to sunset at the end of our calendar year or the beginning of the next. For instance, in 2015, it was January 1st. This is a fairly minor holiday in the Jewish calendar, but it is good to know that when it occurs, fasting is required, and there may be additional prayer services that our patients need to attend or participate in at certain times of the day. Tu B'Shavat is on the 15th of Shavat on the Jewish calendar. It is the new year of trees, and it's centered around the time when the first trees bloom in Israel. Purim celebrates the freedom of the Jewish people from Haman in the days of Queen Esther. It is important to note that on this date, work is not permitted. That also includes the exchange of money. Just like on the Sabbath for the Jewish people, they are not allowed to touch money, cook food, or take care of any business on that day. Of course, there are exceptions to that rule that must be consulted by a rabbi. However, if at all possible, all of those things need to be avoided. Passover is one of the largest known holidays on the Jewish calendar. It celebrates the freedom of the Jewish people from Pharaoh in the days of Moses. There are stringent dietary restrictions, including no leavening in any bread products, so no yeast or no rising of the dough in any bread products used. This festival does last 8 days, and it usually falls somewhere around Easter on our traditional calendar. Next is Pesach Sheni. This is second Passover. Celebrates repentance and the idea that there is no lost case. It's a single day, and matzah, which is the unleavened bread, must be consumed when possible. The next on the calendar is Rosh Hashanah. This is the Jewish New Year, which is the anniversary of the day of the creation of Adam and Eve. It lasts for 48 hours, and again, work is not permitted. So again, that does cover things like handling money, cooking, anything of that nature for 48 hours. Yom Kippur is the holiest day on the Jewish calendar. It's called the Day of Atonement. It lasts about 26 hours. It is centered about around the sun, so it's a sunset to sunrise, or sunset to sunset holiday. When you're participating in this day, you must not fast, may not wash or anoint your body, may not wear leather footwear, and may not participate in any marital relations, and again, work is not permitted. This is one that we commonly see listed on some of our calendars, simply because it is one of the holiest days it is the holiest day in the Jewish culture. So we need to pay special attention to this and do what we can to allow patients to celebrate appropriately, as it is the most important day on their calendar. Next, I've listed Simonai Azeret and Simchat Torah. These two holidays are back-to-back on the calendar. They create a total of 48 hours, the conclusion and restart of the annual Torah reading cycle. This is an exceptionally joyous holiday that reaches the climax at the end of the second day, and again, work is not permitted. And of course, Hanukkah, which is one of the most well-known Jewish holidays, mostly because it falls at around the time of the Christians' Christmas, so it's something that's widely celebrated around the same time, though it has limited importance comparatively. This is the Festival of Lights, and it lasts 8 days, and it actually commemorates two things. It commemorates the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem after the defeat of the occupying Greek Ammites. However, it also celebrates the miracle that the oil found in the temple, once they were able to rededicate it, was supposed to only last 1 day. There was only enough oil for 1 day. However, it ended up lasting for 8 days, which is how long it took to purify more oil for the candelabra or the menorah. That was an important part of the daily ritual in the Holy Temple. Therefore, it's an 8-day celebration. This is a time where they celebrate the gift that God gave them, and so that they do exchange gifts during that time. Work is permitted during that time, except of course on the Sabbath, which does fall at least once in the calendar during Hanukkah. Now let's discuss childbearing women and their families. The laws of childbirth in Judaism are called Parshat Tazria. This is a specific set of laws that comes from the Holy Scriptures that has been put together that dictates how a pregnant woman and her family are supposed to behave during the time of the pregnancy. The pregnant woman must maintain strict kosher law and may not gaze long at non-kosher animals or impure things, for this is believed to have a deep impact on the unborn child. Pregnancy is kept a secret during the first trimester from everyone. The husband may know. However, no one outside of the pregnant woman and her husband must know. This is specifically to protect the mother and the child from the evil eye and protects modesty. The evil eye concept is discussed in the Talmud and the Kabbalah, but not in our Bible. And this can cause harm to the person by either sickness, death, jealousy, tragedy, or pain. Once the start of the 4th month has occurred, you may tell close friends and family, and at that point it's no longer considered a secret. However, it should be done slowly to maintain the woman's modesty and the modesty of the child as long as possible. No significant items can be purchased for the baby prior to its arrival. This is also to protect from the evil eye. Exceptions include those things that will be necessary for the baby immediately upon birth, including a single article of clothing, diapers, and a car seat if it's required by the hospital. Pregnant women must give to charity daily. If a woman is already donating daily to charity, then during the course of her pregnancy, the amount must be multiplied by 18. There's, of course, a concession for a pregnant woman who is unable to physically work and doesn't have financial resources. There are other things that they can do, but they do have to consult their rabbi closely for the process on what they can do there. Before bed every night, the husband must recite Psalm 20 and then repeat the 2nd verse. Amniocentesis and any other testing that is known to cause injury to the fetus in any circumstance is avoided if at all possible, although you still rely on your physician very greatly during the course of your pregnancy if necessary. Things like that are permitted. Fasting is not required except on Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. If the physician thinks that it's unwise for the woman to fast, then she may eat during the aforementioned holidays. However, she should eat less than an ounce and drink less than a cheekful at a time with 9 minutes between bites. And that can only be done under the direction of the rabbi. And of course, again, maintaining strict kosher law. Labor must not be artificially induced. According to the Torah, God only has the wisdom to know the appropriate time for a woman to give birth, and therefore we should not intervene unless the mother and or the baby are in jeopardy, at which time a rabbi should be consulted. Birth on Shabbat is permitted, however, with restrictions. So Shabbat, or as some people better know it, Sabbath, or the holy day of the week. This is that though strictly prohibited on Shabbat, the woman and one companion may travel to the hospital on Shabbat if they feel the birth is imminent. However, they must use a non-Jewish driver. They may not open the doors for themselves, either for the vehicle or at the hospital. They may not hand money to the taxi driver if used. There's a caveat that they should try to put money aside in an envelope before Shabbat and then have the driver pick it up themselves. If they just tell them where it is, then the driver can come and pick up the money. And nothing can be signed for unless absolutely necessary, at which point it must be done with a non-dominant hand. This includes consent at the hospital, so we do need to be aware that we should accept a verbal consent from patients and have them sign on the following day or after sunset has occurred and the Sabbath is officially over for them. Continuing now with childbearing women and their families. Time permitting, the husband is to recite psalms during the labor and delivery process, specifically 1 through 4, 20 through 24, 33, 47, 72, 86, 90 through 93, 104, and 112 through 150. This should be done by the husband, sometimes with the assistance of other male family members who are all gathered outside of the hospital room. After giving birth naturally, a woman enters the niddah state for 7 days for a boy and for 14 days for a girl. This state forbids marital relations until a ritual immersion is undergone by the woman. This state also occurs every time the woman menstruates.